Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm James Rogers from Mind Life Exotics. Today I'll be going over Viper Boa care for a pet keeper. And if you've seen my video from a couple years ago, I have changed a few things. Let me put him there. One thing to keep in mind, you don't want to hold them over high grounds. You want to keep something underneath them so if they fall, they don't fall far. They are ground boa. Today I'm just going to be going over basic care for pet keepers. So I went ahead and jotted down comments so I wouldn't forget taking notes. Alright, so today is going to be Viper Boa update on how to care for them, how I now care for them, and recommend caring for them. This will be for pet keepers, not for breeders. I'll have another series for breeders. But this one will be just for your everyday keeper. So when handling them, you want to make sure you keep a firm grip on them because they are fast. They can wiggle out your hands pretty easy, and when they go, they fall because they're short. They are more of a ground boa, so keep something under them. Like right now, cart under them that's only 12 inches below them. And 12 inches ain't that far, right? So if they fall, they won't hurt themselves. So to start off with, let's talk about their temperature. You're going to want to, this is where I break out my notes. So with all the snakes I keep notes and numbers written down everywhere, so I never have to worry. I have a website dedicated to just individual care sheets, so I reference it as much as anybody else can. For their high temperature, so this would be the highest temperature you want in their enclosure, be 85 degrees. It can get a little bit warmer, but you're starting to put stress on the animal, and they're in captivity, right? They don't need to have the hottest days. So keep it at around 85 on their hot spot. 86, 87's okay, but don't really go above that. And you shouldn't be trying to reach that. You want 85 stable heat spot. Alright, at the low temperature at night, it can drop down to 76 on their cool-in. So their ambient temperature will be 78 to 82 throughout their enclosure. So you have your cool-in at 78, your hot-in at 85, but the ambient should be around 78 to 82. At night, it can drop a little bit to 76 to 80. So they have that little night drop. For their humidity, this is on a range depending on where you're at, but they can go anywhere from 50 to 80% humidity. I normally do a little bit lower during the winter, a little bit higher during the summer, and for me that's just where I place their water bowl at, closer to the heat source or further away to reach those temperatures, or reach those humidity levels. The ambient humidity I like to maintain throughout though is around 60%. For lighting, I actually keep these guys in a tub so they don't have any specialized lighting. I just have the room lights on between 10 to 12 hours during the winter and 12 to 14 hours during the summer. It's up to you. If you're keeping it as a pet, I'd recommend just a 12-hour day year-round. Just 12 hours a daytime, 12 hours a night. But you can play with it a little bit. That better suits your needs. But just provide them some light so they can know when's day, when's night. Alright, so for feeding, they're very slow metabolism. You hear that a lot amongst boas and amongst other snakes, slow metabolism. These guys are slow. So for babies, less than 2 years old, you're going to want to feed them every 10 to 14 days. And that may sound a little bit long, but trust me, that's plenty of time for them. For adults, it's going to be much more extreme. You're going to go 20 to 28 days. So that is, their range. What I do is I feed anywhere from 15 to 30 days, depending on how they look, right? If they look like they could use an extra feeding, maybe this month I feed them on the 15th. If they don't, I keep to the normal schedule of every first of the month. So sometimes it goes up to 31 days, depending on the month I'm in, right? But on average, if you feed the babies every 10 to 14 days and the adults every 21 to 28 days, you'll have a healthy and happy snake. Alright, for housing, so I recommend a V70 tub to set them up in, or a CB70, same thing, right? With craft paper, so you can keep this crisp, clean look on them. But if you care more about them having a true naturalistic environment, I recommend at least a 2x2 square foot enclosure. Height does not matter for these guys. It's more about rooms to crawl around in space. I would not recommend keeping them together. Keep them separate, and that's how I'd recommend it. I'll go more in details on how to put them together and introduce them during the breeding series, which will come in the coming months. But for now, go ahead and just do a normal 2x2. You can go bigger, but I would not go smaller. Give these guys some room to move around. You'll see them most of the time sitting like this, but they do move around their enclosures, and you'll notice this when you come in the next day. You'll see they moved around during night. They like to explore as well, so they're not always just sitting in their water bowl. Now, speaking about water bowl, you're going to want at least a 17-quart water bowl for these guys so they can completely submerge themselves. They will spend most of their days in water. They love soaking, so go ahead and ensure you provide water. And that's one of the reasons why I use just craft paper and CB70 tubs, because that way I don't have to change the water out twice a day. Now, if you're going to have a naturalistic environment, what I would recommend is wherever you put your tub, surround it with cypress mulch or another, rocks, something where they're not dragging the dirt directly into the water all the time. This will lower the amount of times you're having to change water and keep the water clean and healthy for the snake. Now, speaking of water, I've learned, I'm sure if you go back into some of my older pictures on my social media, like Instagram, Facebook, you'll see that a lot of my viper boas near the tip of their heads have a really white lime composite style substance on their face. It's the same type of stuff you would see on a shower head, right? So what happens is they soak so much and they leave their heads out of the water that if you use water from the city, you'll have these composites left on their face because of how they sit there. So what I've started doing is actually using water that's been filtered through a 5-stage filter. If you have a whole house filter, that'll probably work. If you don't have a whole house filter, you can buy an under the sink 5-stage filter or an on the counter 5-stage filter. They are more expensive than under the sink, but more available. Like, you can put them wherever. That's what I use, is over the sink. That way I have the water just for my reptile room, and I use that exclusively now for my viper boas soaking water. That is cut down on the white composites on their face. It looks like it because of the lighting right now, but if I move this, you can see his face looks a lot better, and he's shed since then. The others have not shed since I've changed out the water, but 2 of them are actually in shed right now, 2 of my girls. So this has helped a lot. That's about all I have for these guys as far as care. And like I said, I will have a breeder series that focuses more on how I change the temperatures throughout the year, what I change them to, when I introduce, how long gestation is, etc. So if you care to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Well, thanks again for watching. Be sure to check the description below for links to the mobile app and website and my other social media platforms. And also leave a comment below if you have something you'd like to see more of, or if there's something I could do to improve. And also subscribe and like the video. Thank you all. See y'all next time.